In this video, I will go over the main features of a Zoom webinar from the host's perspective. Please note that with software updates, some of these features may undergo changes, and the look of the interface you see in this video may be different than what you see on your computer. Nevertheless, I hope the information will be helpful in understanding and managing the features of your Zoom webinar. First, I would like to briefly discuss the main differences between Zoom meetings and Zoom webinars. Zoom meetings at NDSU have a limit of 300 participants, while our webinar license allows for up to 500 attendees, permitting you to reach a wider audience. Furthermore, Zoom webinars have an additional meeting role called presenter, which allows for individuals from outside of NDSU to be added to the webinar in a host-like role. Registration pages are oftentimes used in webinars to provide additional information about the event to potential attendees and, in return, collect information on your attendees prior to the event. Lastly, webinars are intended as a few-to-many platform, with a small group of presenters sharing their audio, video, and computer screen with a large audience passively receiving the information. While the chat and Q&A functions are frequently used in webinars, allowing attendees to unmute and interact with the presenters is much less common. When you first start your webinar, you should see a message at the top of your screen indicating that you are in a practice session, with a button to the right to start your webinar. The practice session allows the hosts and presenters to meet in the webinar connection to finalize their practice and setup without the audience being admitted or the automatic recording having started. Any attendees connecting during this time will see a message that the webinar will start soon. When you're ready to start, simply click on the Start Webinar button, and all attendees in the waiting room will be admitted automatically, and your recording will start. If you do not have the automatic recording scheduled, you can manually start it using the Start Recording button in the menu bar. Chat works the same way it does in meetings. You can open the chat window by finding and selecting the chat icon in the menu bar. In the chat window, you can select who you want to send a particular message to and then compose your message. By clicking on the three dots, you can adjust who attendees and panelists can message with. Screen sharing also works in much the same way as in meetings. Select Share in the menu bar to open the sharing window. You can select to share any of your attached screens or any particular program that you have open at that time. Please make sure to check Share Sound and optimize for video sharing if you plan on sharing any videos with your audience. When done, select Share. Selecting the participants icon from the menu bar will show you all the panelists and attendees currently in your call in two separate areas. You can promote attendees to panelists as well as permit them to unmute their microphone and talk. Panelists can receive the ability to share their screen or be demoted to attendees. Q&A is a feature often used in webinars. You can access the Q&A tool by selecting the icon in the menu bar at the bottom of your screen. The Q&A tool has three basic sections: open questions, answered questions, and dismissed questions. Using the gear icon in the Q&A window, you can adjust the settings for this feature. The first checkbox labeled Attendees can submit questions basically turns this feature on and off. Allow anonymous questions submits attendees' responses without their name included. Allow attendees to view answered questions only allows you as the host to curate the submissions and only answer what is appropriate and necessary. All new Q&A submissions will come into the Open section of the tool first, as you can see with these three questions being submitted right now on the screen. From there, you can answer the question in writing and select if you would like the response to go only to the individual who asked the question or get sent to all attendees. Marking the question as answered by the presenter in the call will keep the question in the open section for now. Selecting to dismiss a question will move it immediately into the dismissed section. By clicking on the different tabs, you can see the questions in the various sections. Once the last question has been answered by the presenter, it can be marked as done and moved into the answered section. One more important function in webinars is your ability, as the host, to enforce a particular screen layout for your attendees. By clicking on the View icon, you can open the full menu and the attendee views at the very bottom. Please note that the options available will depend on whether or not you have content shared when opening the menu. As you can see on the screen, now that content is shared in the webinar, additional layout options have become available. The layout shown on the screen is side-by-side, while the standard view places the video feed as a picture-in-picture in the top right corner of the screen. Thank you for your attention. As always, please do not hesitate to contact us with any questions you might still have.